and then the East African anthem, and the function will begin officially. The national anthem.
We may resume our seats, please.
Dear viewers, welcome once again to our live broadcast.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni,
now the government of Uganda,
the Right Honorable Prime Minister,
the United Nations agencies, including
ministers here present,
UNEP, UNDP,
the UN body
UNICEF,
representatives,
are key national stakeholders,
permanent secretaries here present,
in this function.
Representatives of the various government agencies here represented,
coordinating a number of initiatives,
ladies and gentlemen,
leading up to the Global Food
my name
System
is
Summit,
Charles Odongtho, and I will be helping to direct this discussion or dialogue this afternoon that is hosted by His Excellency the President.
And of course the invited guests.
The dialogue is on the national food systems,
this function.
and this is the national dialogue, which is a culmination of 4 other regional such dialogues that have taken place in the 4 regions of Uganda: Western, Eastern, Northern, and Central. The convener of today's dialogue is the OPM, or the Office of the Prime Minister, and that's because by our Constitution, Article 108A provides that the Prime Minister or the Office of the Prime Minister will be in charge of coordinating the implementation of government programs. The convener is the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries and the National Planning Authority, together with development partners, especially the UN families, led by the Food and Agricultural Organization. Your Excellency, also participating in this dialogue actively has been the World Health Organization. As we know, food or nutrition is very important to health, and so the World Health Organization has been active in this dialogue. We also have the UNICEF, and as we again are informed, children are usually, in cases where nutrition is inadequate, probably the most affected when they are stunted, hence affecting their growth. Before I invite the Honorable Minister for Gender, Labor and Social Development to come and lead us in a prayer, I wish to bring us into what we are going to be looking at. One of the things we have to know is that livelihood is derived from agriculture, especially when we are talking about Uganda, whose mainstay is agriculture. And so any efforts aimed at promoting agriculture, at promoting better livelihood, must be supported. This dialogue that we are having today will culminate in a resolution that will be presented towards September to the UN, together with other global nations on the same. We are going to have few speeches, but among those speeches, we will have one from the Permanent Secretary of the Office of the Prime Minister, who will officially welcome us and give us opening remarks. But as a God-fearing nation, may I take this honor to invite the Honorable Betty Amongi to come and lead us in an opening prayer so that this ground that we stand on and work from can be a blessed one before we start the discussions proper. Honorable Betty Amongi, you are most welcome. Let's put our hands for her. Let's give her some energy so that she prays for us.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we come before you as we seek to create a world where all are sustainable food resources, a world where we live without food insecurity. Mobilize us, O Lord, to be a part of a world response that works in partnership with those of goodwill to foster equitable resource sharing. Descend upon us as we dialogue to find new ways to answer the call of providing sustainable livelihood for all to flourish. We pray this in the name of the Almighty God.
Can we all say amen? Thank you very much. And thank you, Honorable Betty Amongi. May I now take this opportunity to invite the Acting Permanent Secretary
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Third Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Cabinet Ministers here present, Excellencies, representatives of the UN agencies, permanent secretaries, colleagues, heads, different heads of MDAs, you're welcome. What I've been requested to do is basically to welcome all of you to this gathering of today. Your Excellency, the President, when the UN Secretary General designated to call the Food Systems Summit, as a country, Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Prime Minister moved in as the national convener. And as the national convener, also with two co-conveners, that's the Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, and the chairperson of the National Planning Authority. Since then, arrangements have been on to move towards preparations towards this summit, which is scheduled to be in September. A number of activities have been held in terms of holding different meetings. I head the technical team of a multi-sectoral composition where we come together to work out the arrangements, but we also have a secretariat which is hosted within the Office of Prime Minister, and then we report to the political organization. Your Excellency, today is a day when you are going to hear from the convener and the co-conveners. I don't want to take this beyond this. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for coming up. But before I leave, let's just give a hand of applause to thank His Excellency the President for gracing this occasion. I thank you so much.
Countrymen and countrywomen, we are still coming to life from Kololo Independence Grounds. It is the Food Systems Summit, and now this summit has been organized by the government
Your
of
Excellency,
Uganda,
permit
in conjunction
me now
with the UN in Uganda and civil society actors. And that was the acting permanent secretary, and of course the function is being graced. The main convener is His Excellency the President, and of course the Right Honorable Speaker is here. The Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries is also here, and so many other dignitaries. Now let's listen in to the UN district, the UN Residence Commission.
Your Excellency, President of the Republic of Uganda, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Deputy Prime Ministers present, the Honorable Ministers and Ministers of State present, the Chief Coordinator, Operation Wealth Creation, Your Excellency, Resident Coordinator, United Nations, Your Excellencies, country representatives of the United Nations agencies, development partners present, the permanent secretaries present, heads of government agencies and technical staff present, representatives of the private sector and civil society, farmers and farmers' organizations, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon. Let me take this honor to welcome you all to Uganda's National Dialogue on Food Systems. I am much delighted to present to you our journey as we prepare Uganda towards embracing food systems approach in the country. Your Excellency, dear participants, Uganda will join other nations in September 2021 to celebrate the UN Food Systems Summit, convened by the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. Food systems is the way food is produced, food is transported, food is processed, packaged, distributed, marketed, purchased, and consumed. This is very critical as it touches all areas that are essential for the realization of our national development aspirations and the Sustainable Development Goals. In the world context, the UN Food Systems Summit will raise global awareness, deepen our understanding of problems that we must solve, and set us on a course of how to radically change the way we produce, process, and consume food. The summit will adopt a systemic approach that will connect solutions and challenges in and beyond the agri-food system, which have been identified cornerstones for societal transformation. Your Excellency, the President and distinguished participants, building competitive, robust, and resilient food systems has for long been central to our national development aspiration. Our Vision 2040 and the Third National Development Plan identify agro-industrialization as a key priority to drive socio-economic transformation for our country towards achievement of upper middle income status. Indeed, this resolve is well captured in our goal for NDP3, which is increasing household incomes and improving the quality of life of Ugandans. And this is to be achieved through sustainable industrialization for inclusive growth, employment, and wealth creation. Accordingly, 18 and now 20 programs have been well articulated and are being implemented. Your Excellency, sir, in preparation to attending this UN Food Systems Summit, the government of Uganda has been able to undertake all the appropriate actions. The summit preparations officially began on the 16th of April 2021, when the first inception meeting for the summit was held. The meeting was hosted by the then Right Honorable Prime Minister Ndugu Ruhakana Rugunda and was attended by ministers, government technical heads, representatives of the UN agencies led by the UN country coordinator, and members of civil society and the private sector. The meeting considered and approved the concept, it articulated the roadmap, and spelled out the leadership structure, which pronounced the national convener as the Right Honorable Prime Minister and the national co-conveners as the Minister of Agriculture and Animal Industry and Fisheries, as well as the Chairperson, National Planning Authority. A multi-stakeholder secretariat in the Office of the Prime Minister was created to manage the day-to-day operations towards the preparations of our country to this summit. This Food Systems Summit is structured along 5 action tracks, and through the guidance of the convener, the following action track leaders, that is the chairs and co-chairs, were selected and have been driving the process. And I want to request them all to stand together for recognition. The first action track is on ensuring access to safe and nutritious food for all, and is chaired by the Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Maif, and co-chaired by the Executive Secretary, Food Rights Alliance, and this track has received technical support from FAO and was supported by UNICEF. Action Track 2 is on shifting to sustainable consumer patterns and is chaired by the Minister of Health and co-chaired by the Country Director, World Vision Uganda, and this track has received technical support from World Health Organization, supported by UNICEF. The third track is on boosting nature-positive production and is chaired by the Minister of Water and Environment, and the co-chair of this track is the Executive Director, Uganda Water and Sanitation Network, and technical support for this track has been received from UNDP and the UN Convention to Combat Desertification. The fourth track is on advancing equitable livelihoods and is chaired by the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development and co-chaired by the Country Director, CARE International, with technical support from IFAD. And lastly, the action track 5 on building resilience to vulnerabilities, shocks and stress is chaired by the Minister of Local Government and co-chaired by the Commissioner for Disaster Preparedness and Refugees in the Office of the Prime Minister, with technical support from the World Food Programme. Let me request the entire team, as I've read them out, to please stand at this moment for recognition. Let's give them a round of applause. So, Your Excellency, Mr. President, distinguished guests, through these very resourceful leaders, we have been able to conduct a number of regional, target group, and coalition dialogues, and I will summarize them as follows. In June 2021, 4 regional dialogues were held along the 5 action tracks. In July 2021, 7 target group dialogues were held under the leadership of the civil society organizations, the women agri-entrepreneurs, the media, the youth, and the farmer groups. And in August 2021, another 5 target group dialogues were held under the leaderships of the agriculture sector, the National Women Council, the grain handlers, the transporters and distributors, and operation wealth creation. My co-convener, the Minister of Agriculture, will present more on the findings of these dialogues that have culminated into a status document for the food systems in Uganda. Your Excellencies and distinguished participants, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude my remarks, when we are done with dialoguing and the summit in September, we have even more work to do because we must translate all these outputs into actionable results. It is a commitment that all relevant stakeholders working together must ensure that food systems work in all our dockets to ensure that no household in this country goes hungry. We eat healthy foods, we produce and market quality products, we sustainably use our environment, we ensure inclusivity, and that no one is left behind. I want to wish us all deliberate and fruitful conversations, and let us remember to keep safe as we observe COVID-19 SOPs. Thank you all for listening. For God and my country, I thank you.
Let's give Professor a better hand clap. Thank you very much, Professor Mbabazi. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, allow me now invite the UN Resident Coordinator, Her Excellency Susan Ngongi Namondo, to come and talk to us on the UN Food Systems Summit. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Moderator. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, the Right Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, the Right Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Honorable Ministers and Members of Parliament, representatives of the various government agencies here present, dear development partners and colleagues of the United Nations system, representatives of civil society and private sector, ladies and gentlemen, and observing all previously established protocols. On behalf of the United Nations system in Uganda, I'm very pleased to participate in Uganda's national dialogue of the Food Systems Summit. The upcoming summit next month, called by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres as part of the Decade of Action, is aiming to unlock the power of food to deliver progress across all 17 of our common global development goals. The most valuable part of the Food Systems Summit is really the national discussions and the decisions they will trigger for accelerating towards national development plans. Each country and region will, of course, chart its own path towards transformation of its food systems, but some challenges go beyond national and regional borders, thus the need for a global conversation. These national dialogues, however, form the solid foundation upon which a global discussion can be had around some of the cross-border challenges and opportunities around our interconnected food systems. I would like to warmly commend the government of the Republic of Uganda for according such energy and interest in the implementation of its national food systems dialogue. Here, there have been many conversations engaging thousands of Ugandans discussing the national food system. And I understand many of these conversations have been very participatory, and I would also like to warmly commend the government for that, because despite the COVID restrictions, we've managed to have a truly participatory process. These many conversations have led us to where we are today, and the presence of His Excellency the President and the Right Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, and so many key ministers is truly impressive. It shows the importance of this subject matter to the government of the Republic of Uganda and bodes well for the teamwork that will be required to accelerate the transformation of the current food system into one that will ensure access to safe and nutritious foods for all persons living in Uganda, will provide the many, many, many needed jobs, especially for young Ugandans, will support a nature-positive production while also building resilience to climate shocks. Mr. President, honorable participants, as we celebrated Youth Day a few days ago, I clearly heard about the 4 sectors mentioned by His Excellency: commercial agriculture, industries, services, and ICT. With 72% of Ugandans' population employed in agriculture, although in the brochure I read 69%, but regardless, a lot of percentage of Ugandans employed in agriculture. Agriculture and agribusiness will drive these 4 sectors. And beyond, agriculture and agribusiness will drive the attainment of many of our sustainable development goals. And this is especially true at this critical time as we try to play catch-up with the time that we have lost due to the COVID pandemic. The United Nations system is working very closely with government in all the streams of work around the food system discussions, and these have already been well mentioned by Professor Pamela. Thank you so much for that. So I will spare you the part of my speech that was supposed to talk about that. We all already know that relooking at our food systems can unlock a lot of development gains. Solving the food systems puzzle will call for plenty of creativity, energy, steadfastness. And creativity, energy, steadfastness, and extraordinary teamwork on a focused issue doesn't always just obviously and spontaneously happen within governments and the broader society. It will require a lot of leadership at all levels to make it work. The entire UN family and I are really looking forward to the new commitments and plans emerging from these food system discussions. I look forward to, I would imagine, some sort of reprogramming of NDP3, which was drawn before the pandemic and will now necessarily need some tweaking as early assumptions no longer hold true. I also look forward towards the government's necessary tweaking and reorganization of its development partners' coordination mechanisms to facilitate our greater support and focus towards these new commitments. We need the private sector arm in arm with us. They have the larger financial muscle to leverage towards greater socioeconomic impact. And we may need to find more productive ways of engaging and working with them. As I conclude, your United Nations family is here and desirous to support further as we unlock the opportunities of our food system. Many agencies are contributing significantly already. Professor Pamela has mentioned some. They are all playing important roles in the various streams of work, but of course behind them are many others. I reiterate our commitment to support the government and people of Uganda through the implementation of our joint UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework 2021-2025. And on that note, I thank you for your kind attention, and I really do look forward for the exciting work ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Susan Ngongi Namondo, the UN Resident Coordinator, just 6 weeks old in Uganda, from Cameroon. Thank you very much. Let's clap for her and welcome her to Uganda. Your Excellency, sir, permit me now to invite the Minister in charge of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries to give us a presentation of the synthesized report of the regional and independent food systems dialogues as they were held across the country. The Honorable Minister is represented by Honorable Bright Ramirama. You're most welcome, Honorable Bright.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Right Honorable Prime Minister, Right Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Ministers, Honorable MPs, heads of UN, bodies representatives, Chairperson, National Planning Authority, the permanent secretaries, heads of government agencies, heads of civil societies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, on behalf of Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, I am honored to participate in this important function aimed at coming up with Uganda's commitment towards transforming her agro-food systems for sustainable development of its citizens, where Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries is a key driver. Uganda, like most countries in Africa, has strategically positioned the agricultural sector and the implication agro-food systems transformation as key driver for social economic transformation and the transition in the middle incomes status. The third National Development Plan, NDP3, 2020-21 to 24-25, has earmarked 18 national development programs, of which agro-industrialization, human capital development, natural resources management, and climate change mitigation and community mobilization and mindset change are central to achieving the food system transformation and nutrition-related goals for Uganda. The realization of NDP3 is mostly hinged on the outcomes of agro-industrialization program. In effect, transformation of agro-food sector has been singled out as an engine for effective realization of the NDP3. Your Excellency, given the multi-sectoral nature of food system development, it was imperative that MAIF works very closely with Office of the Prime Minister and coordinate with all relevant stakeholders to ensure that Uganda effectively participates in the Food System Summit. With the able leadership of the Office of the Prime Minister, Your Excellency, the country has successfully held more than 15 inclusive dialogues at regional level and for a number of interest groups. A virtual sector-wide dialogue led by Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries was also held on Thursday, 29th July 2021. Your Excellency, the Ministry has also represented Uganda at the African Union meeting of ministers and high-level meeting of food system pre-summit in Rome. Our ministry outlined Uganda's position at both AU and pre-summit as the need to harness trade opportunities, especially inter-African ones, and promote indigenous sustainable and resilient African food system that can deliver nutrition food for all. Furthermore, development of this food system must be based on enhanced research and development. Ultimately, this undertaking will result in improved livelihood of our people on the continent in a much more sustainable way. Your Excellency and distinguished participants, and all of you distinguished participants, the intended outcome of the Food System Summit is to adopt game-changing solutions that will transform food systems across the globe and fast-track the achievement of all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, of UN agencies 2030. The situation is even more urgent in the era of the COVID-19 pandemic, where evidence has shown that good nutrition practices and healthy diets rich in immune-boosting food can check the spread and mortality related to the virus. In fact, overweight, obesity, diet-related non-communicable diseases, often regarded as malnutrition of excess food, is high risk for severe illness and mortality related to COVID-19. In Uganda, NCDs contributed to 30% of mortalities in the country. Undernourished people are also at high risk of contracting all kinds of diseases, COVID-19 inclusive, and with high chances of mortalities or reduced rates of recovery. With the prevalence of COVID-19, the impact of NCD and nutrition will definitely be worsened. Your Excellency, you rightly observed that when COVID-19 exposed weaknesses and vulnerabilities in real economy shifted to agriculture, while the pandemic disrupted big earners like tourism, transport, services, and other sectors, agriculture was minimally disrupted and remained the cushioning sector of the economy. On the other hand, the pandemic has provided an opportunity for us to rethink our agri-food system, creating the urgency to focus on improving and strengthening safe and sustainable food production and supply chains, promoting and strengthening food safety and post-harvest handling practices, promoting healthy diets, enforcing consumer protection and sustainable use of our diverse indigenous plant, animal fisheries, resources, among others. In fact, never before has there been an opportunity to reflect deeply on good nutrition, health, and associated development of a country and its people than it is today. When we combine with the escalating prevalence of non-communicable diseases and COVID-19, the common denominator is diverse nutrition food and healthy diets, mostly comprising of wholesome indigenous staple food, fruits, vegetables, and other low-risk plant-based and animal source food complemented by a healthy lifestyle. These interventions will require transformation of our agriculture and food sector, but complemented by many more sectors as identified in our program-wide approach guided by NDP3. Beyond food, sector provides food for enhancing physical activity, skills, and livelihood. The ongoing food system dialogue in the country are therefore very timely and important for us, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, distinguished participants, our ministry, working closely with the Office of the Prime Minister, National Planning Authority, and fellow ministries, including local government, water and environment, health, gender and social development, as lead coordinator entities, but also with the many other stakeholders, has managed to synthesize the key issues from all the food system dialogue into 12 points as follows. 1. Underutilized food production and supply potential of Uganda. This needs to be fully harnessed. The country is still producing less, using more, yet transformation demands we produce more using less energy. Agro-industrialization is key engine for transformation of food system by ensuring value is added to gain more competitiveness on the market. rural electrification, and renewable energy connectivity will be a lever for agro-industrialization and economic transformation. Your Excellency, we view that rural electrification should be considered as a utility, not a commodity, in order to spur transformation. Quality assurance is a challenge in the food sector that needs integrated and enforce quality and safety in all food system activities for improved productivity, market access, and safety supply to our people. This should be right from the production through the whole value chain, i.e., from farm to fork. Domestic and regional food markets and trade should be specifically enhanced to mutually benefit from food systems and guarantee food and nutrition security for all our citizens and people in the region. Climate, weather, and environment are vital for food ecosystem. Conserving these components of the ecosystem is paramount for sustainability of food system. Increasing awareness of food nutrition practices, indigenous food, healthy diets, and consumer protection are paramount. Whereas we have a rich and diverse food environment in the country, lack of awareness is driving unhealthy food choices, leading to a surge in overweight, obesity, and diet-related non-communicable diseases, especially diabetes, hypertension, and cancer. Smallholders, women, and youth need to be focused on empowerment and emancipation programs to reduce inequalities in food access and livelihood. Escalating social protection programs and services will reduce inequalities in access to food and means for its procurement. Given the vulnerability risk in the country, contingency planning and funding to mitigate shocks and stress to food system need to be strengthened as witnessed in the current COVID-19 era. More investment is needed into food system, research, science, technology, and innovation to improve the efficient utilization of food system across the country. Community mobilization on mindset, behavior, and lifestyle change shall be important to enable transformation in practice through improved food production, storage, conservation, and trade and consumption. Importantly, good governance, peace, and security are key in consolidating the gains and maintaining stability of food system. Your Excellency, distinguished participants, given the myriad issues that are emerging, food system transformation will not happen in isolation of key enablers and levers. We need to create more synergies with other players to ensure that the transformation is a shared reality. The synergies include with the power, energy sector to bring more access to farmers, infrastructure improvement so that our farmers can transport food at low cost, improve storage, transportation network to safely distribute food with minimum spoilages and waste, reduction to promote agribusiness, education and skilling to bring more innovations and research into the sector, water to ensure we have a way from over-reliance on rain-fed agriculture and improve predictability in agriculture production system, financing to improve access to credit for farmers, community mobilization to organize our farmers and farming systems better, social protection to protect early warning and safety nets for farmers, trade and private sector to enable farmers to get markets for their produce and helps to improve consumer awareness and demand for our food products. We should also work with Parliament to ensure more resources appropriated for the sector, that the judiciary to enforce desired legislation, academia for more scientific evidence, the women and the youth to reduce inequalities in the sector, civil society for more advocacy, and development partners for more technical cooperation and financing. Your Excellency, we need to build the necessary infrastructure and mechanism to ensure safe distribution of food within and outside the country by ensuring easy market access to agricultural commodities at all levels, regionally and internationally. Market access is key for agriculture and food system transformation. However, for trade to improve food security, nutrition, and development for the greatest number of people, region and international cooperation is necessary. We should therefore position ourselves to benefit from economic integration initiatives, including the bilateral, regional, continental, and multilateral trade system, such as EAC, COMESA, EAC, SADC, tripartite, African Free Continental Area, Free Trade Continental Area, and above all, WTO. Going forward, we need to amplify the opportunity of agro-industrialization, human capital development, and other programs of NDP3 by ensuring that multi-sectoral multi-stakeholder resources converge, are amplified to deliver on food system transformation. The critical success factor and take home for Uganda from the summit will rely on the extent to which identified opportunities and solutions will be harnessed, prioritized, and urgently implemented within the current legislative agenda under the wider framework of the 1995 Constitution and laws of the Republic of Uganda, and the policy and planning framework under NDP3 and Uganda Vision 2040, Your Excellency. I thank you, Your Excellency, for the opportunity for my youth to participate and look forward to build stronger and resilient food system that will improve food and nutrition security for Uganda and accelerate progress to middle income status. I thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Honorable Bright Ramirama, for that presentation. Let's put our hands together again for him. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, allow me now invite the Honorable Minister for Karamoja Affairs, Office of the Prime Minister, and the convener of this dialogue, Honorable Dr. Maria Goretti Kitutu, is also holding currently the portfolio for Minister General Duties of Office of the Prime Minister. She's going to give us brief remarks and appreciations, and then I will request you, Dr. Goretti, to then invite the Right Honorable Prime Minister once you're done with your remarks and appreciation. You're most welcome, Doctor.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Third Deputy Prime Minister and Minister without portfolio, colleagues, ministers, Her Excellency, the United Nations Resident Coordinator,
country directors of the UN agencies, the chairperson of the National Planning Authority, permanent secretaries, executive directors of government agencies, heads of civil society organizations, technical officers from central government, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, as already articulated by previous speakers, the process of defining, assessing, and documenting the Food Systems Summit preparatory activities in Uganda has adopted a consultative approach undertaken through a series of dialogues at the subnational and national levels. Your Excellency, we are very optimistic and energized by your presence and participation in the food systems dialogue, both nationally and regionally, and this confirms the commitment of the NRM government leadership in securing the future for all Ugandans. Your Excellency, Uganda's participation in the summit is not only anchored on her membership to the United Nations, but on several factors, which include the need to explore opportunities presented by the summit through identifying challenges, opportunities, and game changers for the already existing commitments at global, regional, and national level. Your Excellency, we also need to position the country towards transformation of Uganda's food systems. We are therefore preparing the Food Systems Summit as a vehicle by our real tangible gain as a country and the summit decisions and actions. Your Excellency, I wish to thank the various state and non-state actors who have supported us at the Office of the Prime Minister in this endeavor. And these include the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries, and the National Planning Authority, who are the co-conveners. Others include the Ministries of Health, that one of Labour and Social Development, Ministry of Water and Environment, the Ministry of Local Government. We highly appreciate their support. We also highly appreciate the support of the permanent secretaries from these ministries who have chaired and co-chaired the 5 tracks, respectively. Other partners to be appreciated include the UN family, and in particular the Office of the UN Resident Coordinator, the United Nations Development Programme, FAO, WHO, UNICEF, IFAD, and World Food Programme, who have offered anchoring services to this process through technical assistance, financial, and logistical support. More appreciation goes to the technical staff from both central and local governments. I also wish to thank the civil society, local and international, and in particular, CARE International, World Vision, Food Rights Alliance, Agra Uganda, Caritas Uganda, Biodiversity International, and SEAT, who have provided technical, logistical, and financial support to some of the dialogues in terms of mobile data, banners, and airtime. More support or more appreciation goes to the various platforms, groups, and apex bodies that have worked with the Secretariat to deliver independent dialogues under their respective constituencies. I also thank our own National Food System Secretariat under the Office of the Prime Minister that has coordinated all these processes. Your Excellency, it is now my singular honor and pleasure to invite the Right Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Robin Anabanja, to deliver her speech on behalf of the Office of the Prime Minister. I thank you.
Sanitize. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, the Right Honorable Third Deputy Prime Minister, colleague ministers, the Chairperson of the National Planning Authority, all heads of UN bodies represented, the permanent secretaries, heads of civil society, all dignitaries present, the media, all protocol observed, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, allow me to welcome you once again and to thank you for gracing this National Food System Dialogue with your presence here at Kololo Independence Ground. The UN Food System Summit is a turning point in the world's journey to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. The summit will raise global awareness, deepen our understanding of the problems we must solve, and set a course to totally change the way we produce, process, and consume food. Your Excellency, the implementation of the Food Systems Summit has been conducted under the 5 themes, whose leadership has been chaired by the Minister of Agriculture, as already told, Minister of Industry and Fisheries, Minister of Health, Minister of Water and Environment, Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Minister of Local Government, co-chaired by Food Rights Alliance, World Vision Uganda, CARE International Uganda, Office of my office, and supported by UN anchoring agencies, including Food and Agriculture Organization, that is FAO, World Health Organization, UNDP, IFAD, and World Food Programme. Your Excellency, my office, together with key implementing MDAs, civil society, and UN agencies, has steered the course of documenting and articulating the country's food system situation through a consultative approach. Multiple dialogues have been held at subnational, regional, and global levels despite the COVID-19 pandemic, where stakeholders have been invited to contribute by discussing their role in food systems, reflecting on new forms of joint action, and contributing to building the food systems of the future. The aim of the dialogues was to discover how to enhance the sustainability of the Uganda's food system through improved production, processing, contribution, and consumption practices and behaviors that can help address many of today's greatest challenges and accelerate progress towards achieving the 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development and Sustainable Development Goals. Your Excellency, today the country is holding a national dialogue to mark the epitome of our readiness to participate in the UN food system globally. Uganda, as a country, under your guidance and leadership, will today make bold statements and commitments to transform food systems, which will be detailed in the national position paper on the intentions and commitments arrived at during the dialogue. Your Excellency, the UN Food System Summit is scheduled, like you have already been told, on 21st September 2021 in New York, and Uganda will be among the countries that will present her position to the summit. Your Excellency, like the Minister of Agriculture has already told you and presented, the issues from the dialogue which Uganda should focus on to address but allow me to thank you for your tireless efforts. We know where Uganda was in 1986 before you took over power, and how Uganda is today. There is a big change. The country is now eagerly waiting to hear from you, Mr. President, but allow me to further inform you the key issues which we must include. 1, underexploited food production potential and wastage. 2, prioritizing agro-industrialization as a key engine for social transformation. 3, limited market access for agro-food products. 4, effects of climate change and environmental degradation in the country. 5, land fragmentation. 6, the double burden of undernutrition and overnutrition. I mean overweight, obesity, and diet-related non-communicable diseases in the country. Empowerment of smallholder farmers, women, youth, and other vulnerable groups in the food value chain. Scaling up social protection programs and services. Your Excellency, at this moment, I want once again to thank you for gracing this occasion, and all other government MDAs, civil society organizations, the UN family, for the tirelessly moving the process and supporting the process. Your Excellency, it's my honor to invite you to address the nation. Thank you so much.
Sit down, please. Thank you. The Right Honorable Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, ministers, members of the UN system. This is a very good conference, but you selected a spokesperson who may bring you some bad luck. This is a man called Odongoto. Where is he? You tell them what your name means, Odongoto, in our language.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency and distinguished guests. Literally, Odongtho means remaining death.
Remaining dead?
Yes.
Now we can see. Where did you select such a person? Thank you so much. But he's a good person in spite of the name. You see, most of our names are linked to the events, the what, like this one here, from our Luo languages, would mean that maybe he was born after the children who were before him have died or something. There must be something unlucky about him, but he's now lucky. Now, talking of food production, in Uganda, you are in the right place in the world. As I was telling the cabinet the other day, traditionally, we produce 2 crops in a year. Not many parts of the world can do that. Without irrigation, just depending on the rains. That's why the main crop at the end of the year is called, in January, is called omwaka, the main crop. The smaller crop, harvested in June, is called obujegashe in one of the languages. So traditionally, we always have food here. But in the past, food was mainly for eating, for home consumption. But with the opening of the world, we become aware that you can have food for home consumption, but also food for commerce, for trading, for selling. Traditionally, I was trying to remember the foods, our traditional foods. I think I came up with a list of something like 19 foods, indigenous, and I didn't exhaust them. The list included bananas, millet, bananas, amatoke, millet, oburo, cassava, mhogo, maize, ebishori, sweet potatoes, ebitakuri. Now, later on, we imported these Irish potatoes that we call obmondi. Beef, enyama, milk, amate, fish, ebyenyanja, chicken, enkoko, beans, ebihimba, ebijanjaro, peas, obushaza, groundnuts, ebinyeebwa. There are even crops like enkore, which some of you people may not know very well. I don't know why agriculture doesn't promote those. Enkore, cow peas. Cow peas, these are part of our traditional. There's another legume also which I don't see anymore, called enkuku. I don't know what it is called in English. Then you have pumpkins, ensuju. Then you have vegetables, enyabutongo, dodo. Then you have got enyanya, tomatoes, obutunguru, what do you call obutunguru? Onions, entonga, I don't know what entonga are. Entura batia mu ruzungu. Huh? Eggplant, okay. Now, all these are indigenous crops of Uganda, except the Irish potatoes. All the others are indigenous. And these are the foods I eat. When you hear that I am now going to be 77 in September, and I have no blood pressure, no diabetes. It is because I eat this. Unfortunately, you people, you like to eat European and Indian foods. Those are your issues. But even those European and Indian foods, we have adopted, some of our people have adopted them, not me. I've never grown rice in my life. No. But some of our people grow those foreign foods like wheat. Wheat is grown here also. Rice is grown. Pigs, these pigs are imported. Our indigenous pigs were in the bush. They were not in the homes. Some people would hunt them, but they were not part of the livestock. So, therefore, really, Uganda should have no problem at all with food. When you hear that there is a problem, which is because of lack of sensitization, lack of knowing what to do. Food here grows very easily. The maize take 3 months, the maize crop will be ready. The sweet potatoes, ebitakuri, don't they take 2 months? Do you have an agricultural person here? Come, please. Agriculture, not just the one who is qualified. I don't want the one who are just talking about agriculture. The one with BSc agriculture. Who are you?
Thank you, His Excellency. I'm called Grace Bwenje Bunanuche from National Planning Authority.
Bunanuche?
Yes.
That's a good name. Bunanuche means you are satisfied. Okunanuka. Now, how many days does ebitakuri? How many days?
Sweet potatoes take about 4 months, 6 months, but they can stay in the soil for some time. Because it is a food security crop, can stay in the ground for a while.
The minimum is 4 months?
Yes, sir.
To be
harvested.
Because even in our language, you don't say that the sweet potatoes have ripened. You know, everything is here is clear. What ripens is like millet, but Irish sweet potatoes mature. Even the words are different. Thank you very much. So within 4 months, you can harvest the sweet potatoes. So what are the problems? What are the bottlenecks? When you hear that there is food problem here, food problem there. Some of these bottlenecks have been solved by the government. And when I read through them, I will say this is a problem, but it has been solved. First problem was good seeds. But that one, the government has solved. We have got very many research institutions for all major crops, where the research institutions have developed for us the good seeds. Agriculture, come and tell the people here the research institutions and what each one does. Bunaniche, come back. You are now a volunteer. I remember them in my head, but I don't want to overwork when these people are here. So you tell them the research institutions and which seeds they prepare for us.
Thank you, His Excellency. We have the National Agricultural Research Organization with its agencies.
No, tell us the centers, not the bureaucracy.
We have Kawanda. Kawanda naturally now has research laboratories and also has a soil testing center. But we have Namuronge.
Please, go slowly. You know, that's why you cannot teach people. What seeds does Kawanda prepare for us?
Kawanda now has banana. It was left with the banana research program. So it has, you can get the good variety of suckers.
So Kawanda specializes in bananas. How about the maize?
Maize, you'll find it in the National Agricultural Crop Resources Institute in Namuronge. You'll find there maize.
So go one by one. Kawanda, bananas. What else?
We'll find maize in Namuronge. That is the National Crop Resources Research
Never
Institute.
mind the names, but the place and the seeds.
Okay, Namuronge, we will get maize. We will also get beans. You also find high quality cassava cuttings. And then we have also transferred the animal center to Namuronge. So Namuronge is also involved in some animal research. And groundnuts are still in Serere.
Go on, do.
And soybean, Makerere is highly involved, especially in Kabanyoro. Makerere University Research Kabanyoro has very good soybean. And then, what else?
Chituza.
Chituza is very good in coffee. You'll find good high quality coffee, resistant to the wilt that kills coffee.
Karengere.
Karengere has very good Irish potatoes.
You see, I'm the one reminding this man now. He's just there. Okay, go and sit down. Do you know better, you? Unalio kumpe unacho manyo kusingono. He's not sure.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I'm from Naro. I was just coming to supplement, but he answered most of the questions correct.
No, you say confidently, because this one is 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, maybe what has not come out is all semi-arid crops like millet, sorghum, palm millet are done in Soroti, in that semi-arid area. We have institutes all across the zones of Uganda, which are journals that link the farmers to the technologies. But the ones he mentioned are the national research institutions that deal with the strategic issues and developing the technologies, Your Excellency.
So therefore, have you solved the problem of, there are some of the crops I forgot here. How about sugarcane?
Sugarcane, we're into the research. We are trying to see where we put the research institution for sugarcane.
And Rebtava?
Then for fish and other things, all we have, for fish, we have it in Ginger. For vegetables, we still have at Namulonga, which they call National Crop Resources Research Institute. Kawanda is where Your Excellency government invested in a lot of laboratory facilities, and we're able to tackle so many other disease issues also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So therefore, the seeds, the problem of wood seeds is addressed by all these research institutions. Now, then the next challenge is water, irrigation. Yes, there is rain, but sometimes rain delays. So that is still a problem. Irrigation. And if you had somebody from, I don't know whether Wamirama, the minister knows all the irrigation efforts. Can you come and tell us? Because these people want to know the answer, the problem, the answer. Because once you finish with the seeds, then the next problem is the water for crops.
Thank you, Excellency. First of all, with water, is that you helped us to acquire units to excavate water for the farmers for irrigation, to make sure that they cover areas of drought. And the schemes for irrigation, we have Mubuku, we have Doha, and we are developing all the other traditional ones in the north and northeast, Your Excellency.
Olwen.
Olwen, yes, Your Excellency.
Olwen, Agoro. How about Bukedea?
Bukedea, we have a project, we are working on it, Your Excellency.
Good. So, thank you. So the minister is also, as mentioned, that there are two levels of irrigation. There is the micro irrigation, where using the government equipment, I can create a dam in my farm, and then I pump the water to a high ground using maybe solar power, and then irrigate my gardens locally as a standalone farmer. So that would be the main effort, because Uganda has got a lot of rain. If you dig a dam somewhere in your own farm, personal farm, you catch the water, using the government equipment, the one he's talking about, the government earth moving equipment. Then you pump the water up a high ground, and it comes back by gravity, and you irrigate your land at a micro level. Then you have the other mega irrigation, the ones he's talking about, Mobuku, what, which now cover an area, Doho. So the UN system, since they are interested in this effort, could help in either more equipment for micro, or help in the other, the mega, where you irrigate for a whole area. But the Minister of Agriculture should make available to the UN system the whole list. The minister has not exhausted the list, is longer, of the area irrigation as opposed to micro irrigation. Third bottleneck are the bad farming practices. People not knowing how to do the good farming practices. This is the spacing, the crops, making contours on the hillsides, putting windbreaks. A wind like this is not good for crops because it will blow away the pollen and there will be no pollination. So we need to have windbreaks, trees which slow down the wind so that pollination can take place properly. Making trenches so that the water is trapped and sinks in the soil. All these are part of the good farming practices to conserve the land, but also to yield more. That one is simply sensitization and enforcement and supervision, because the practices are well elaborated. Then the fourth problem are pests and parasites on crops. These are a real problem because when we use chemical killers, eventually they go in the food system, and it's not good. That's why these days we are looking for organic way of killing these pests. That's why, for instance, we are developing the anti-tick vaccine. We have the vaccine already, our people have developed it. It should be funded for the cow to be vaccinated, and then it kills the tick. When the tick comes to bite the cow kills it through its blood system, organically. The other day I was talking with some people, they were brought by some people who are talking of an organic pest killer, killing tsetse, killing these other, even ticks, organic. Yeah. So the issue of pests, the people, since this is supposed to be a world, this world or this is still local? World will be in September. So here we are now still Ugandan. Now Ugandan farmers work with the people in the world to solve the problem of pests and parasites. And if we can do it organically, for me, I already have some organic solutions. Support them if you can. Our people are developing an anti-tick vaccine, organic. So let the world focus on this. How do we solve these ticks and other parasites and pests, and do so organically without using chemicals so that we do not poison ourselves. So that is bottleneck number 4. Number 5, the issue of markets. Because here in Uganda it's very easy for us to produce food, but the problem we get are people to buy. We produce, like the other time we produced a lot of maize. We produced 5 million tons, but the Ugandans were eating only 1 million tons. So we had a surplus of 4 million tons. And people went into debts, into what? And I think some of them have fallen out. They are no longer interested in maize because there was no market. So, persuading the people in Africa to understand the issue of one African market without borders is very, very important. So that I see our people here buying a banana known as gonja from Congo. Gonja is a certain type of banana. But I've seen many of my mobilizers going to buy gonja from Congo. The other bananas are here, the other types, but there is this one which is from Congo. So if we do not interfere with the people can build an African market because they know what is where and what is. So ideologically, strategically, let's understand and tell everybody that please, even those Europeans who block our food, I can produce food for them much better than what they are eating now. There's a time when I went to New York and I tried to eat something, what they were calling pineapple. When I put it in the mouth, terrible, terrible. What's this? I could smell urea in the am I eating urea or what? In the mouth. Yet here you see the bananas, they are the pineapples. You drive. They are rotting on the roadside here. So is this Christianity for me to eat good pineapples? And people in the world are eating pineapples which are not so good. So, you the young people, you talk, please, let's have free market of food so that the one who is producing food easily, we buy it and we exchange. Then, of course, in the past, we had the problem of bad roads. Like in Bundubujo. Bundubujo is a part of Uganda which had no road linking it to the rest of Uganda. And yet they are big producers of cocoa, of even rice, those who eat rice. Fortunately, now we have the road there. We have put them there. The road to the north, to Kitgum, where they produce simsim and other products. So that one is being addressed, the issue of roads. But later on, we must address the issue of the railway to the sea. This is because the distance is long and road transport is not very economic. So the answer there would be the railway, which we are really working on with Kenya and with Tanzania. Then you have the post-harvest losses. Post-harvest losses. Those are caused by well-known factors which we should handle. First of all, the way you harvest, where you dry, where you store, and that's how the fungus comes in, or humbo, and you get aflatoxins. That stage. Then some of the crops cannot get to the market unless you process them. Because if you don't process them, they will rot and you lose them. So value addition, processing, is part of ensuring the food security, processing. Everything that is not eaten fresh must be processed. That is our strategy. Like these pineapples, if you see them along those roads to Entebbe, being pushed on the wheelbarrows, a lot of pineapples. Very, very, very sweet. Then, number 9, environmental protection. Because this farming is dependent on water. But water comes from the lakes, from the rivers, from the swamps. So when you are drying the swamps, you are cutting your base for agricultural production. Because we want water for irrigation, there is the swamp grass, which I told the cabinet the other day. There is a swamp grass which we use for mulching. It's called Evigugu, Cyperum latifolia, according to because you like foreign languages. When we speak in Latin, you understand better. In our local language, it is simpler. It is called Evigugu. But my scientists told me that they call it Cyperum latifolia. I don't know what that means, but there you are. So the wetlands are very crucial. The water bodies are very crucial for the farming systems. Some use of fertilizers. Although we have got organic fertilizers, but sometimes it may be necessary to put in some of the chemical fertilizers. The agriculture person, you come and tell us whether we can do away completely with the organic, with the chemical fertilizers or not.
His Excellency, thank you. We cannot do away with the inorganic fertilizers because organic alone is not enough, and it's very expensive to produce organic fertilizers. So therefore we need some inorganic, like NPK and urea and others.
But urea is there.
Yeah, from urine, but that's not enough. We need to manufacture it in the industry. So we need inorganic fertilizer. And you can't do large-scale production unless you have inorganic fertilizer. So if you have a farm of about 20 acres and above, you can't talk about organic fertilizers.
Okay. So you hear now, we need both organic and inorganic fertilizers. Then, in the case of Uganda, our guests here need to know one of our problems, which has been created by poor leadership. This is the problem of land fragmentation. Land fragmentation. When the head of the family dies, the land is fragmented in smaller and smaller pieces for inheritance. This means that at some stage you can no longer economically produce some of the crops. Because some of the crops, like maize, for instance, even sugarcane, only make sense when you produce them on a big scale. So land fragmentation is another bottleneck. Then number 12, storage. Storage. So those are the bottlenecks that I could identify, but you can identify all the others. Then finally, there is the facilitating infrastructure. That one I have already touched on. I've already touched on the roads. I've touched on the railway. But you need to add on electricity, because to process you need electricity. You need to add on water for irrigation. You need to add on telephones. Telephones make communication easy. Farmers can do business on telephone. Water for production. Some of these have been addressed. The telephones are no longer a problem. The roads are no longer a problem. Electricity is improving. What is still the main problem is the railway and more water for production. So with these, Uganda can feed many people in the world. It's very easy for us to grow food. We are here on a high plateau on the African continent. We get rain 2 times in a year. The sun is always going up and north over us. Being here on the equator, when the sun is going south, it passes over us and we get rain. When the sun is going north, it passes over us and we get rain. So you people, where you are sitting here is unique. United Nations, Amawanga Magati, now you have got to a real center of those nations. It's here. I was trying to look on the map of the world and see whether there could be other countries which could be like Uganda. I was only able to see possibly two others. One is a part of Kenya, near Mount Kenya. That area called, what do they call that place? Near Mount Kenya, there is a, they have got an airport there. Meru is one of them, but where the airport is. Kuna Mkenya hapa? Hakuna Mkenya? Oh. There is an Air Force base there, near Mount Kenya. That place is like Uganda, that place. Because that's where the equator passes, and it is also high. Because Uganda has 2 advantages. First of all, we are right on the equator, and then we have a high altitude. It's not easy to get those combinations. The only other place which could be like Uganda on the map, I've never been there, there's a place called Ecuador in South America. I suspect it could be like Uganda. Right on the equator, with a high altitude. That's a combination that is not, because when you go from Uganda, you go to the Congo. Much of the Congo is on the equator, but lowland. Lowland, very humid, very hot. The Amazon in South America, on the equator, lowland, but very humid because it is lowland. Then from there, the equator goes in the ocean, no land, except it gets to the Philippines. And the Philippines is also very, very hot because it is lowland. So really in food production, United Nations, you tell your headquarters that the Center for Food Production is here. So work with these Ugandans and we deal with these bottlenecks and we can produce, I can tell you, we can produce food which would feed very many people. I'll give you an example. These bananas you are talking about, these farmers of ours here have been harvesting 5.3 metric tons per hectare of bananas per year. But in the government research center in Bushenyi, they are now producing 53 metric tons per hectare, from 5 tons to 53 tons. You can imagine, more than 10 times. And somebody told me that in Brazil, they have gone up to 80 tons per hectare. So you can imagine the potential. This production we are talking about, we can multiply by 10 times if we do things right. So this is my information to the Ugandans, which I think you can also capture and you inform the rest of the world who, if they want, can work with us to maximize the food production capacity in Uganda so that we solve the problem of the human race together. I was watching people in different parts of the world rioting for food. This was the last year or 2 years ago. People were rioting for food. Here we are throwing food away. This is not logical. I thank you and I wish you good luck.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for those wonderful presentations, but more especially for the identification of the challenges or the bottlenecks, as you have called them. More especially because
dear viewers, wherever you're watching us from all the platforms we are on, televisions and radios. Thank you for watching and thank you for following this live broadcast. We've been coming to live from Kololo Independence Grounds at the National Dialogue on Food Systems Transformation in Uganda, a program that is drumming up to the United Nations Food Systems Summit, which is due in September. Just a month left. Now, that was the President's statement, but the summit has brought together voices from every sector of society, including the civil society, the non-profit organizations, the NGOs, the government itself, research organizations, and private organizations to drive impactful, meaningful change for food security everywhere, in Uganda in particular, and the world in general.
Depart, but in reverse order, allowing His Excellency the President to be the first, and then the Prime Minister, and in that reverse order. Thank you very much. Answer. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
All right. We can't thank you enough, dear viewers that have been watching us from wherever you've been watching us from and on the different platforms. Thank you so much. Food remains a very vital issue, not only in Uganda but across the world, because we eat food, we eat to live, we eat to survive. Now, by coming together to tackle this vital issue, the world, and Uganda in particular, can build a world and a country in which no one is hungry, no one is poor, and no one is left behind. I'm called Dennis Blair Kalanzi, of course, who has been behind the MIC, that is microphone, of course, together with a very big team here that has been relaying live this function that has been graced by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Maybe to mention very few issues the President has mentioned about is when you talk about food, he says Uganda is the right place, and this dialogue was very right to be here in Uganda, mentioning some of the bottlenecks, including the seeds. Some of the growers, some of the farmers have very bad seeds, but government has put in place mechanism to see to it that a serious farmer can get good seeds. Then he talked about the bad farming practices, including spacing crops and so many other things. These bottlenecks have not yet let farmers in Uganda and the world, some other African countries, to do good farming. But of course also talked about the pesticide. Our scientists are developing I call it a vaccine, the anti-pesticide vaccine that will help the farmers, that will help the market, and if ready, Uganda will be able to even export this vaccine to elsewhere. And then the other big problem is the market, he says. The markets. Uganda has got a lot of food. You remember when Sudan, the Sudanese were rioting because they didn't have food. Bread was very expensive. Here in Uganda, we were throwing food. You remember even Uganda was stopped from exporting maize, and the farmers, of course, were crying because there were very many losses on from the farmers that had grown maize in big numbers. Now, the other thing, the food system, what it does is to inform and highlight the good farming practices, the processes, and of course anything concerning food. Thank you so much, His Excellency the President. I can see him now departing. Of course, he's being sent off by the Right Honorable Prime Minister and the ministers here present. That is His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda. Uganda is the pearl of Africa, and so we should be happy that we have a very good country with very many natural resources, good soils that can enable good farmers and willing farmers to grow crops, grow food, both for eating and selling. Abalungi abatulaba mwenna gye mbadde mutulabira, tuzze ku nkomerero y'omukolo gwaffe oyo omukulembeze w'eggwanga ayabulira ekitundu kino olukuŋŋaana olubadde olw'okubaganya ebirowoozo ku nsonga z'emmere. Bwe twogera ku nsonga z'emmere, twogera ku okutandika mu kugirima, okugigattako omutindo, okugikungula mpaka w'otuuka ate okugitambuza mpaka w'otuuka okugitunda mu katale. Okay, thank you so much. We now come to the end of our live broadcast. I've been yours sincerely, Dennis Blair Kalanzi, and of course that and more you'll find all that, the highlights, in our subsequent bulletins. Thank you very much. May God bless you. For God and my country, I now hand you over to Broadcast House in Kampala.
Honorable Serwanyi, a commissioner in the Parliament of Uganda, I am shocked that even according to a modern dictionary, we don't have a word called smuggler, and he's referring me to a smuggler. Can he withdraw that statement and refer me as a cross-border trader? Madam Speaker, before I continue with my procedure matter.
Honorable Macho, I did not hear him say that you're a smuggler. Maybe that was a joke between you and the commissioner. And it's not on.
Anyway, Right Honorable Speaker, is it true a rice farmer, and let me leave him at that. But I rose on a matter of procedure, Right Honorable Speaker. I keep saying this and I'll repeat it again. This country is one of the countries in sub-Saharan Africa with the biggest cabinet and the biggest number of ministers in the docket of finance and internal affairs. I don't know whether we are proceeding